Hey everyone, welcome back to the Connected to the Word podcast. I'm Chris. This is Lisa. This is episode number 28. So excited to have you here. We absolutely love coming with you every week and sharing from our personal Hear journals as we're going through the New Testament together in the book of Psalms this year. If you are interested in knowing about this Bible reading plan that we follow on this program or the Hear journal method of Bible study, go to that link right there below and to the description. You'll find that link and you'll take you to yourcpc.church and you can learn all about that, read blogs, articles, watch videos. We teach it all there. This is just an incredible way of studying the Bible together. It's simple and it's just a way of saying, God, we want you to speak to us. What is the principle here? So it follows the word hear, H-E-A-R. We highlight a verse, we explain it in context. We apply its principle and we respond to it, what the Lord is saying to us. And so today, in week 28, we're still in the Gospel of Luke. In some section, in fact, we're between Luke 5 and Luke 9. We're between Psalm 78 and Psalm 81. Where did you go? What particular Hear Journal entry really grabbed you this week that you want to share with us?
So I had a little more difficulty picking which one to do this time.
She actually did. I heard her in the house studying the scriptures while I'm working in the other side of the house, and I hear her yell out, "How do you pick one? It's all so good."
Yeah, okay. So anyway, anytime there's the details of Jesus and his ministry, it's all so good, right? So good. All right. Everything in the Bible is also good. But I went to Luke 7.
Okay.
And we're going to read and talk about the centurion for a minute.
Gotcha.
All right.
It's good.
So I picked out a word, worthy.
Okay.
Worthy. Okay.
So one word stood out to you.
It really stood out to me because in 4b, someone says the centurion is worthy for his request to be granted. And then in 6b and 7a, that means the end of 6 and the beginning of 7. Yeah. The centurion himself says, "I'm not worthy." Okay, so it's the contrast of this worthiness that grabbed my attention. So let's look at that for just a minute. So the explaining of this, the centurion would have been a commander in the Roman army that led 100 troops. Centurion, right? All right. So it's 100 men in the army. His servant is sick. As you read around the word worthy, it's his servant is sick. And he asks some of the Jewish elders near him to go get that Jesus he's heard about and ask him to heal his servant. Okay. Excuse me. Even though Roman soldiers would have been considered enemies of the Jews, they were known for being oppressive, right?
Right. For
their taxes, for their forceful acts.
The way they treated the Jewish people was rough.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's really got her choked up. They were really harsh.
But they would arrest people, and they would beat them and all these things. So for some Jewish elders to be in a relationship to where a centurion would think he could ask them to go get that Jesus he's heard about. Yeah. And not only that, it was those Jewish elders when they went to get Jesus that said, "He is worthy
that's a
for you to grant statement. This." That is powerful. So why? In verse 4, it tells us, or in 5, it says, because, why is he worthy? Because he loves our nation and has built us a synagogue. Yeah. This was not a normal Roman centurion.
Yeah.
Okay. He had been good to the Jews in his area.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do we know if these were actually leaders in the church, like Jewish elder leaders in the church, or were they just elderly people just a commoner Jewish? We don't know. It doesn't matter. He had a good reputation with these in the area. So we see why there in verse 5. that they called him worthy. Now, most centurions would have demanded Jesus come and demanded respect. This one was different.
Yes.
It says in verse 2, that he wanted to help with the sick. That means he had compassion and value for every person, even a servant in his household. Okay? In verse 5, we can tell that he wants to be a helpful person because he built a synagogue. Mm-hmm. In verse 6, we know he's respectful of people because he didn't want to trouble Jesus himself.
Yep.
He did not want to bother him. So when this centurion, he was different. He was a man of integrity.
Yes.
He was a man of humility. Mm-hmm. Okay, he did not esteem himself above others. He is the one that said, when he heard Jesus is almost to his house, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. That is why I didn't even consider myself worthy to come to you.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Wow. He's a humble man. He understands the authority that Jesus has because Jesus himself is surprised to hear that he said, you just speak the word and I know it can happen. I speak the word and my soldiers carry out what needs to happen. If Jesus will just speak the word where he is, I know he has the authority that my servant would be healed. And Jesus himself said the centurion was a man of faith.
Of great faith.
Great faith. So how do we apply this idea of this centurion, this idea about he's worthy, he's not worthy? Here's what I thought. First of all, he teaches us, the centurion teaches us that no matter who we are, we should value all people.
That's good.
He valued his servant.
He did.
Okay, we should be respectful to others, even those who might not be in the same ethnicity, the same religion, the same. We should respect others.
Yeah.
Okay? We should be humble like him. He did not feel like he was worthy. Guess what? None of us are. Okay, and we should be people of great faith.
Great faith.
Understanding Jesus does have all authority. Yeah. So what's my response in that? I want to make sure I keep myself in check.
That's good.
Remembering to love God and love others more than worrying about myself.
That's good.
You know, there's a slogan out there right now that's I am second. And it's a Christian slogan. It's people, you know, you hear people testifying, I am second. If you don't understand the whole ramification behind that, you might be confused. God is first in authority. Then it is others. The great commandment teaches us love God and then love others. And then it's us.
Right.
So we're second to all of that. And so I think that this centurion gives us a good example of that we need to remember to be humble, surrender everything we have, all authority to Jesus.
Yeah, that's good.
So
That's really good. When you're talking about that, it makes me think John 13, I believe it's 34, 35, I believe it's the 2 verses. Jesus is speaking there, and he says, a new commandment I have given you, to love one another. Mm-hmm. And then he goes on, and this is my favorite part of the whole verse. I mean, it's just like, wow, what a statement. He says, by this, all men will know you truly are my disciples.
yes.
By what? By how you love one another. And the amazing thing to me about the centurion's story is that he could have looked down on the Jews like the Romans did. Mm-hmm. He could have been an oppressor. He could have been demanding. He wasn't.
Yep.
He honored them. He honored a group of people that saw him as their enemy. Mm-hmm. And watch this. The Jewish people, even these Jewish elders in this passage, we're not going to Jesus saying we love Romans or we're so thankful about the Roman occupation. But they loved this man because they knew he may be a Roman centurion, but he actually loved the people that he was leading. They saw him differently. And it just tells me, even when you're around folks that maybe even in the culture would say you should be against each other or be at odds, right. Or, you think about politically, I'm on the other aisle and you're on that aisle or whatever. We can handle ourselves in such a way if we love one another the way Christ has called us to love one another. Doesn't mean we have to compromise our convictions or our beliefs. Right. But ultimately the goal is, can we love one another and encourage one another to get to Jesus? Yes. Because he sends them to Jesus.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see this centurion in heaven.
Right, exactly. And bring his servant healing because he cared about him.
Absolutely.
And Jesus said, I've not seen this kind of faith in all of Israel.
Right.
And that's a great role model for us.
Yes.
Right?
All right, your turn.
All right, we're going to have some fun.
Okay.
This week and next week, I'm going to do something a little different in that when I was reading through the passages, what really grabbed me was some of these phrases that many of us, if you grew up in church or even in our culture, we've heard, like the one we're going to do today, people have heard whether they've been in church or not. Sometimes you read the Bible, you read over some of these lines, and you're like, that sounds really cool. I really don't know what it means, but it sounds really cool. Or we say, it's probably meant this, and we really don't know the culture well enough of the first century to be able to truly interpret it, so we come up with our own interpretation. So to this week and next week, I'm going to do a couple of those. Okay. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What's this one?
You get to do that. This week, my highlighted verse is Luke chapter 6, verse 29. Here's what Jesus says. It's a part of his Sermon on the Mount. He says, if anyone hits you on the cheek, offer the other also. And if anyone takes away your coat, don't hold back your shirt either, or your cloak, depending on what translation you're using, right? Now, something I think is important for you as a Bible student is, especially in the Gospels, when you read a story like this, see if it parallels in another gospel so that you get different writers' perspective as they recorded down these moments, right? Mm-hmm. So Matthew chapter 5 talks about the Sermon on the Mount as well, but it gives a little more detail than what Dr. Luke does here. Here's the reason why, and you need to capture this. Here's something you need to remember, and this is part of understanding the explanation piece. So I gave you my highlighted verse. Now he's explaining it. Let's understand the context. Matthew is writing to a Jewish audience who would understand the Jewish idioms here in the culture, while Luke was writing to a Gentile, non-Jewish audience. So he he did it all in 2 sentences and got right to the point. He talked about a coat. He didn't mention cloak. He called it a shirt, right? He's talking to a different culture, but he's getting the same principle across. Here's Matthew. Matthew says, you have heard it said, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I tell you, don't resist an evildoer. On the contrary, if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, notice that. It's not just a cheek, it's the right cheek, and that meant something to the Jew. Turn the other also to him. As for the one who wants to sue you and take away your shirt, let him have your coat as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to the one who asks you, and don't turn away from the one who wants to borrow you. So there are the 2 parallel passages. But Matthew actually gives us something here that Dr. Luke didn't, and he talks about a right cheek, and he brings in the idea that when the person wants to take away your coat and you give him your shirt too, it's someone who's actually suing you in the courts. Mm-hmm. And so there's a principle here, though. Here's what I want you to capture. Jesus is doing something very, very specific here, and we need to understand, because I'm sure you who are listening to this podcast or watching this have probably heard the saying, hey, just turn the other cheek, brother. Sister, just turn the other cheek. And you're like, yeah, you smack me on one, you can smack me on the other. And we can also become prideful in our unholy form of humility, right?
Punches between the 2 slaps.
Right.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
here is actually in Jewish culture what they understood Jesus to be saying, right? Jesus here is teaching radical grace over vengeance. Radical grace over vengeance. Jesus is teaching us a way to respond to the mistreatment to us from others that neither cowers nor retaliates. And that's key. It's neither a cowering away of, oh, I'm nothing, you can beat on me, but it's not a retaliation of vengeance either. And in the end, you come out better if you follow what Jesus is trying to teach us here. So let's break this down. First of all, the slap on the cheek. Matthew calls it the right cheek. And in Jewish culture, so if we were in a fight and I'm slapping you on the right cheek, I would have to go this way, right? But it's supposed to be with the back of the hand in Jewish culture. So it's a backhand. So I've got to backhand you to get to your right cheek. I got to hit you with the back of my hand. In Jewish culture, a slap with the back of the hand, because it's predominantly looked at from a right-handed perspective. In Jewish culture, a backhanded slap on the right cheek was the ultimate public insult you could give another individual.
Wow.
It was a public insult. It wasn't about physical pain. It wasn't about a fight. It was a form of an insult. All right? It was the ultimate insult in the Jewish culture. This is even talked about in the Jewish oral law, which was codified in a Jewish set of writings called the Mishnah. And in the Mishnah, it would say someone who offends someone publicly with a backhanded slap would be forced to pay a double penalty. So a double fine for doing such an insult to a Jewish brother in public. So when Jesus says turn the other cheek, he's not inviting more violence. He's describing a move that flips the script. You see, when you turn the other cheek towards your aggressor, they can no longer backhand you or insult you in the same way. Now they have to hit you front on, or they have to walk away. But they can't continue just to keep insulting you. And when you offer the other cheek, here is what the nonverbal statement you were saying in that culture was: you tried to humiliate me, but you don't have the power to deny me my worth.
Wow.
To turn the other cheek is saying, you've insulted me once. I'm not going to allow you to insult me again. If you need to insult me, you will at least insult me according to my worth. You won't demean me in this moment. It's a nonviolent refusal to let the oppressor set the terms of the relationship. That's heavy. So Jesus is saying it's not about physical abuse. It's not about you being less than and, I just got to be a little humble me, let you mistreat me. No, it is to say, watch this, catch this all the way back in Genesis. It is you standing up and saying, if you need to insult me, you will do it face to face, man to man, woman to woman, as image bearers of the Most High God. It is not allowing someone to demean you from being less than the created son or daughter that God created you to be, because we were created in the image of God, and I won't let you take that from me. Now, think about this. Secondly, he says, and if they sue you and they take away your coat, offer them your shirt also. This is actually spoken about in the book of Exodus. Exodus 22, verse 26 and 27. Now, here's what you need to understand in Jewish culture according to Exodus. The man's outer cloak, his outer garment, is his coat. It could legally be taken away as collateral to someone he's indebted to until he pays his debt. But it was, watch this, by Jewish law, it was required to be given back to you at sundown, because for a poor man, his outer cloak was his only way of staying warm at night. So even though he's indebted, he had to be given back his coat at night because it was God's provision to take care of his physical being, so he wouldn't be cold at night. God built dignity even in the legal laws. That's powerful. In that culture, then he says, but hey, if they take away your coat, go ahead and give them your shirt too. Now you would be a bare-chested man, right? And in Jewish culture, listen to this. This is so amazing when I read this. It says, in that culture, public nakedness brought shame, but the shame didn't land on the exposed man. The shame landed on the one who caused the exposure. So when they take your coat and you offer them your shirt as well, and you're standing there naked in that culture, the shame wasn't on the naked man. The shame was on the greed of the man who took it all away from you. Again, God flips the script and brings you back to your dignity. And how many times have we struggled feeling beat down by someone and they stole our dignity, and God is saying, you're created in my image. I've got a way where you can flip the script and restore your dignity back. So what God is doing is he's teaching us here to respond in a way that exposes injustice, refuses to be defined by it, and leaves vengeance to God rather than us taking it into our own hands. So the application piece of this. First of all, we need to know that the insult really isn't about you. If somebody disrespects you, you have two default reactions that are probably the same two options everybody defaults to. You either shrink back and swallow it, or you fire back and you retaliate and escalate. Mm-hmm. Jesus offers us a third way. Mm-hmm. You can refuse to let their insult define you, and you can work without needing to win the argument or wound them back, and you can hold to your dignity and not allow them to define you by the insult. Yeah. Secondly, if you've been taken advantage of unfairly, sometimes the most powerful response to someone else's greed or unfairness is generosity. Think about that. Mm-hmm. Give them your shirt too. But when you do, through your act of generosity, everyone else is going to look at that individual and going, how greedy can they really be? Mm. And that's what was happening in this passage. Mm. So here's the response. Here's the challenge this week. When you think about this passage, the next time someone insults you, disrespects you, or takes advantage of you, before you respond, before you react, pause and ask these questions. Does this response prove I trust God is my defender more than I trust my need to win? And does this response expose the injustice, or does it just add to it?
Reminds me a little bit of Mother's Day message, if anybody heard that. If you remember, we talked about the woman who anointed Jesus with the oil, and all in the room were insulting her. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the point that we made was, we don't have to defend ourselves because Jesus can be the loudest voice in the room.
You can.
Jesus will defend us. And so I love this. A lot of times when we lash back, what we've done is made a fool of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we lost our own dignity
we all have, right?
By how we reacted. Yeah. I love this. I love this. Thank you for sharing this.
Keep your dignity, and in the end, you trust God to fight your battles.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is why we love getting into the Word together every week. You just never know how deep it's going to go and what the Lord can teach us. Yeah. So, hey, stay true to the Word, live it out, follow Jesus, stand up and trust God in all that you do. We love you. We can't wait to be back with you next week, and we'll see you then.